I just brought this up because Deutsche Welle acted like, oh, shame on her, and my personal opinion is if she can't afford one child, she should not have 9. But
well, the point is, obviously, the woman's probably a lazy fat hog on welfare. But if you don't have a big government pimp system where everybody's got to pay for other people, then all of us aren't in this big pool together, all micromanaged and controlled. They don't want to control her with the 8 kids. They want kids to CPS and do medical experiments on, and they brag about that, calling them subhuman. What they really want is to go after the smart and intelligent, as their internal documents say. That's why they target the kids that raise their hand and speak up a lot, the leadership males and females. That's why it's the wealthy parents giving their kids the Gardasil shot that just so happens to be sterilizing them and killing them. Oh, don't believe me? Google Gardasil killing girls. We'll show you mainstream news.
Well, I just wanted to verify that Deutsche Welle had this on, like, isn't this a good thing? We're going to take her kids away. So you're right. It's all over, and it's coming here.
And thank you. God bless you, Ray. And I want to point out, again, it's all sold like it's to save the earth. It's for the earth. It has nothing to do with that. Their genetic engineering, their cross-species planting, the toxic waste dumping, deforestation, some of that is a real problem. Overfishing in the ocean is a serious problem in many regions. There are some problems. The land does need to be left fallow sometimes, rotated. But that has nothing to do with this. This is about race. This is about controlling the future. This is about extermination and world government. Let's talk to Scott in Washington, then Dr. Kelly, Al, and others. Let's talk to Scott. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, you know, something, I think that my question is probably going to piss off a lot of people who are into this. And I don't know, maybe it's just me or something, but...
Maybe they need to just kill themselves. I mean, if they want to kill babies and there's too many people, how about they lead the way? Is that what you were about to say?
No, what I was referring to is this Zeitgeist Addendum movie, and it seems to me maybe it's just me, but it seems like there's just...
Oh, how there's going to be a global government run by a robot that'll heal the earth, and I'll have to be sent for re-education, the maker of it said?
Yeah.
What's wrong with re-education? Look, I appreciate your call, Scott, but we're not talking about that right now. Okay, but re-education is wonderful. We're going to come back, talk to Dr. Kelly, Al, and a few others. 888-201-2244, 888-201-2244. But listen, if you're a new listener and you're like, what's this guy yelling and screaming about? The individual, John P. Holdren, who is the president's head of science and technology for the entire federal government, openly wrote a book, a textbook-level book for government and academics, a policy book for world government for forced sterilization, forced population reduction, and then we've proven in their other documents through vaccines and things they're sterilizing us, giving us cancer. This is serious. And I'm just begging listeners out there to please investigate more. Michael Jackson dying should not be the biggest story of the year. This story right here from the London Telegraph. Michael Jackson's death is officially the second biggest internet news story of the 21st century, according to new figures. Only the election of President Barack Obama, another non-issue, just a new puppet, to the White House, eclipsed the death of the king of pop at the age of 50, research by global language monitor GLM found. Jackson's death received more coverage than the Iraq War, 9/11, and the global financial meltdown, last year's Beijing Olympics, Hurricane Katrina, and the death of Pope John Paul II, and the tsunami. All that's happened in the last 9 years. Now, the bankers are imploding the world economy to bankrupt you so you go into government control and go onto the government proboscis, go into the government milk-producing unit to get you dependent so they can then bust a cap in your butt. This is soft kill weapons. This is full spectrum dominance. I'm Alex Jones.
This is the shipping version of the Liberty unit. It's the basic unit that we work with. It consists of 14 cases and a pail of sprouting seeds and a sprouter. Extremely well balanced, and this is the one that we adjust for special dietary needs, like diabetics and people with gluten intolerances. Also, those who are concerned about not having any soy products or textured vegetable protein, This is the unit that we adjust for special needs. All of these one-year supplies are extremely well balanced. They have all the fruits and vegetables and dairy products, everything that you need for a normal diet, and it fits most people. But if you have special needs, if you're a vegan, or if you're a diabetic, or have gluten intolerances, please call us directly and we'll be able to adjust your unit to fit what you need. The 800 number is 800-810-4441. And that will get our administrative office, and we'll help you as best we can.
All right, I'm going to take some more calls coming up here in just a few minutes. But if you want to go to Amazon.com, you can buy Ecoscience, Population, Resources, Environment. They're proud of it. University level textbook for policymakers about how to poison the food and water, how to spray the air, how to kill babies, how to grab babies away from mothers with a CPS and kill them. And it's liberal and loving and good, and they really care about you. That's why all those Planned Parenthoods run by Margaret Sanger, who was worshipped by Hitler, is so liberal and good. Aaron, you had a few, Aaron Dykes in here in the office, had a few quotes there from good old Bertrand Russell, also worshipped by the liberals, about scientific dictatorships and eugenics, that Obama's science director saying the carbon tax is neo-feudalism, so they can control every facet of the economy and bankrupt us so we can't afford to have kids. Get us off the ranches, off the farms, into the compact cities, get us all on welfare, and then under the rule, I'm sorry, everybody's paying for you, you can't have kids. Meanwhile, we're drinking poison in the water and being sterilized, and our young girls are drinking GMO milk and going into puberty when they're 5 years old and then dying of breast cancer when they're 25. I guess it's fun to be under a soft kill weapon attack.
It's frightening, and the state is going to decide who can reproduce, take the babies from the teen mothers. But yeah, one of the frightening things I noticed when looking up Holdren's background is that he's a member of the Pugwash Conference, which was Bertrand Russell's organization. And, this whole thing about the World Society deciding over sterilization and eugenics reminds me of this Bertrand Russell quote where it says, "A scientific world society will be necessary to find ways of preventing an increase in world population. It cannot be stable unless there's a world government. If this is to be done otherwise than by wars, pestilence, and famines, it will demand a powerful international authority."
And that's what State Department Memorandum 200 says. It says it's our policy to use wars, famines, and sterilization and IMF and World Bank money, bankrupt the countries, by design, it says, to then force them to castrate the men and to tie the tubes of the women. Because in the third world, they don't want you getting hooked back up. They just grab you and cut them off. And this is what's really going on. But here, they hit us through the water supply. And here's Obama's advisor saying, put it in the water.
Yeah, it's and the two most extreme eugenists I've come across is Bertrand Russell, who calls for a return of the Black Plague, and this Paul Ehrlich guy who will go to every means possible. And this Holdren has background roots with both of them. And
but then we have his book, his policy book, which, the quotes are all here. It says, compulsory abortions carried out against the will of the pregnant women, as is commonplace in communist China. It says, putting chemicals in the food and water to forcibly sterilize the population. Implement a system of involuntary birth control where both men and women would be mandated to have an infertility device implanted in their body at puberty and only have it removed temporarily if they receive permission from the government to have a baby. This is him on record. This is his quotes. Permanently sterilizing people who the authorities deem to have had too many children or who have contributed to general social deterioration. And again, this is common. This is, supposedly common sense. I guarantee you there are people listening on the radio going, yeah, there are too many dumb, poor, stupid people we got to pay for. Well, don't pay for them. Don't have a government welfare system to pay. But see, the eugenicists set that up. They said, well, to get them domesticated. And they say, at first, this will cause them to breed and do all this, but we're doing that to domesticate them so we can then just wipe them all out once they're fully dependent on us. So see, in the first phase, they get you dependent, as the Royal Commission says. In the next phase we're now entering, they start doing the soft kill weapon system where 25-year-olds are dying of cancer and have Alzheimer's. And then they talk about that here as well. They would all be overseen by a transnational, centralized, planetary regime that would utilize a global police force, these are quotes, to enforce the measures outlined above. The planetary regime would also have the power to determine population levels for every country in the world. Compulsory population control laws, even including laws requiring compulsory abortion, could be sustained under the existing constitution if the population crisis became sufficiently severe to endanger the society. And he said in 77, we'll use the threat of global warming to push this, which they admit isn't even real.
That's right.
And then they're going to cover. Now, all these years we've been exposing chemtrails. There was the Nobel Prize when we're actually making a film about this. In 92, a gentleman in the U.S. wins a Nobel Prize for saying spray barium salts and aluminum dioxide mixed with jet fuel. That will disperse it, block sun rays, and cool the earth. But then climatologists and scientists said putting this nuclei out will actually, on average, increase the heat of the earth because the ultraviolet goes through, bounces back up, and is captured.